Good afternoon and welcome to another 52 Launch Entrepreneur Insights webinar here in our beautiful Pitch to Product podcast studio. I'm Steve Sisto alongside Jalen Morstel, our marketing manager here at 52 Launch. Jalen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So for those of you who might be new to us, 52 Launch is a full-service consumer product development agency that partners with entrepreneurs and small business owners to bring their ideas to market. We handle every aspect of the product lifecycle through our accelerator program. We handle market research, branding, design, prototyping, manufacturing, all the way through the product launch and beyond. Over the last 10 years, we have brought more than 730 products to life, totaling multiple millions in revenue for our clients. And today we are talking all about marketing, what it means to develop a go-to-market strategy so that when your product comes and you go to market, you are ready to sell. So Jalen, let's get started. First off, what is a go-to-market strategy?
Yeah. So, in the world of entrepreneurship and building a product business, you've done all of the designing for a product, you've put branding together, you've started thinking about what your website is going to look like, you've had all those details put together. Now it's time to put together like a go to market strategy. So, it's essentially a roadmap of bringing all those elements together and deciding on which elements are going to make sense to start and kind of bring to the public in order to sell your product the most successful way. It kind of aligns all of that. So, sales, marketing, product teams, and kind of defining target audiences, pricing, distribution, and also messaging as well.
So the product development process is a lot. There is a lot to do between designing and prototyping and all of that. And it can be easy to sort of think marketing is so long off. I'll sort of cross that bridge when I get there. But why is it important to actually have that strategy in place before you launch?
There's a lot of reasons why. I definitely think without a clear strategy and having all of those details you just talked about, you're gonna get lost and everything's gonna get jumbled. So definitely, there's where products can definitely get lost in crowded markets instead of building momentum. So there's a couple of ways that we can kind of make this plan or kind of a strategy beforehand so that we know exactly what we're doing. So, a launch strategy really focuses on defining who we're targeting, what we're promising, how that's going to show up on channels, how we're going to do the marketing, what success will actually look like for a product. So it kind of just aligns all of that together so that every effort you're putting in, every single dollar you're spending, and every post that you're posting on Instagram or TikTok makes sense and it also pulls you in the direction that you want to go.
So within the context of our accelerator program here at 52 Launch, when do you begin to broach those topics with the client of here's what your marketing strategy should look like, here's the things that we're going to put in place before launch?
Yeah. I would say in our accelerator, we start talking about go to market strategy around the point where we're thinking about creating a landing page. So, a single website page that has a little bit of information about your product, a little bit of branding to show. You don't have all the information, but you're ready to look into mass production. You basically know the final details of what your product is going to look like and what it's going to be.
Mhm. Okay, so let's talk about some specific strategies then. Let's start with organic media. What do you start? Where do you start from a positioning standpoint of this is what your brand is? This is what we think you should be posting about. These are the types of images that you should be looking to post. Where does that begin?
So, organic, I would say this is one of the number one things that you want to start thinking about because organic social media, so that means just posting on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok like you would on your personal accounts. Um, Organic social media is changing every single day. So, it's important to have a basis or a starting line before going into it and before posting so that you don't get caught up in the trends that are going on all the time or putting in way too much effort and you're going to fall behind. So, there's a couple of different starting points
Mhm.
that I recommend for all of our clients and that I tell them even before they have the physical product in their hands.
Mm.
You need to define the role of your brand. And in the accelerator, we work on the brand. It's one of the first things that we do. It's very important and it's really good to understand why we chose those colors, why we chose the messaging, why we chose that specific look for the product, because that's exactly what we're going to be showing on the digital platform, social media.
Mhm.
So you need to know what that's gonna look like in a customer's life. Furthermore, what problem are we solving? And then what
Mhm.
feeling are we trying to provoke? Or what feeling are we selling with the product?
Mhm.
So from there, we kind of pick a direct or a clear standpoint and decide content pillars.
Mhm.
So that looks like education, social proof, or
Mhm.
lifestyle. So, say that you want your customers to feel happy, you want them to feel or bougie or luxury. You're probably going to want to show content that's very lifestyle
Mhm.
based. So, showing what it would look like to live in a very luxury place with the product or filming very funny videos so
Mhm.
that people feel happy. But if you're trying to make customers feel rewarded or that they just walked away learning something, then your content pillar is going to be a little bit more of education. So that's why it's really important to know exactly what you're selling
Mhm.
and what feeling you're selling too, so that you can bring that down because mixing a bunch of different content pillars can definitely get a little messy and people can get
Sure.
confused.
Because if you're just in the market and a customer happens to find you, but they see all these contradictory messaging on the platform, they're saying, "What is this? I, I know what this company sells, but what are they about?"
Yeah,
And that's almost more
exactly.
important even than what they're actually selling.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like social media right now, people, when they find a page and they see that the content is all the same, that's when they start to follow. When it's all over the
Mm,
place, they're like, "Well, I'm just gonna hope to see them on the explore
sure.
page. I'm gonna hope that this content finds me again." I don't necessarily want to follow them. If you're showing them the same feeling, they're gonna wanna follow you so that they can feel that all the time, be invested in your brand, trust your brand too.
So you mentioned content pillars. There are other types of terms like messaging formula, brand promises. What exactly are those within the context of marketing?
Yes. So brand promises is basically a simple, non negotiable outcome that you want to deliver. So it's what a customer should be able to count on every single time that they're shown your product. Um, so when we create a brand promise, it's we have to make sure that it's a very concrete deliverable that we can prove in content, reviews, product features. It's just another way of keeping yourself accountable within your branding. And then there's also right under primary is secondary, and then also emotional promises, kind of what we were talking about
Mhm.
before. There's kind of that emotional layer under that primary brand promise. So not just about what can people count on you
Mhm.
for, but also how owning or using the product should feel like. So this might be something like confidence, feeling calm, feeling
Mhm.
more capable, and kind of that sits underneath the primary so that there's a deeper
Mhm.
payoff to your brand.
That makes sense. So when you're talking about winning on social and driving conversions, driving sales, whatever that company's particular goal is, how do you define that?
There's tons of different ways you can win on social, and you never will really know how exactly, to do it on paper.
Mhm.
You have to constantly be testing it, but there's things that we use, called dimensions in social media that kind of help you kind of get a head start in that. So there's different things like top message, visual tones, emotional hooks, role of product features. Um, Definitely something like a top message is like a headline idea. You want people to repeat. So something like all of the insurance companies right now, they have slogans, they
Mhm.
have like ringtones, they have music, stuff like that.
So it's the
Um,
language that supports the brand and makes it familiar.
Exactly. So a lot of people will use that, anything from hooks to call to actions, should ladder back to kind of just one idea so it sticks. There's also visual tones. So bringing in colors, typography, content format. So are you more of a picture, brand? Are you more of a video visual brand? You need to be explaining it more, showing it more in a visual way. That all comes down to it too. The emotional hook again, always the top 5 things is, like, you wanna catch someone's attention in the first 5 seconds of a post. So using like a specific line, a visual, a scenario, so that people can think like this
Mhm.
is for me
Mhm.
and continue to watch. Because especially nowadays, people lose a lot of that attention span really
Mhm.
early on.
Yep.
And we're being constantly fed so much information and been showing so much stuff, so it's really important to get someone's attention really
Correct.
fast.
And no one wants to feel like they're being sold to
No.
necessarily. It's more of I came across them and they're resonating with me for whatever reason it
Exactly.
might be.
Yeah, exactly. You kinda wanna show it to them as if they don't know the problem is there
Mhm.
yet.
Right.
Um, they wanna feel seen, they wanna feel heard, but you don't wanna tell them that it's actually a problem.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
You kinda wanna
Yeah.
just be like, "There's a solution, to forget about the
Yeah.
problem."
Yeah. And we offer the solution.
Yes,
Yes, and we offer the
exactly.
solution. So we covered a bunch on organic media, but there's a flip side to that, paid media. Why
Yeah.
is that so important as a complement to what you're doing organically?
So paid media is definitely going to drive you an audience that you will not be able to grab on your own on organic social media. Um, Although paid media really matters a lot, I also do want to say that it's not always necessary to begin with.
Mhm.
Paid media is great if you have the ad spend or the money to be able to bring your brand to that idea. So I do wanna just, like, start that off. If you don't have the means to start with paid media, there are other ways to do it, and to get more audience, getting people to learn about your product, but it's going to take more time,
Mhm.
more effort, maybe just the same amount or even more than paid media. So all that being said, paid media is probably the better option, but there are
Sure.
also other ways. Um Paid media is like paying someone to find the exact people you want to reach, find the like, say you have your product is a surfing product. You're gonna be able to find surfers at a specific beach at a
Mhm.
specific time through paid media. So you're gonna be able to get those people directly instead of kind of waiting to get through those people through word of mouth, through
Mhm.
friends and family is gonna take a lot longer.
And in terms of choosing the right channels, there's Meta, there's TikTok, Google. Does everybody need to be on every channel necessarily?
No, not necessarily. I would say that you wanna narrow it down to 3 channels, especially depending on how big your team is. Typically, when you're just starting out, it's probably gonna be 1 to 3 people.
Mhm.
Stick with 3 channels that you want to, put dedicate all of your time into. which channel should you choose? It depends on your demographic. Exactly what we were talking about before. Who exactly is going to be buying your product? Who do you think would be interested in your product? So, depending if your demographic is an earlier or a younger demographic, you're gonna wanna stick on channels like TikTok.
Mhm.
If it's an older demographic, you're going to want to stick with Facebook, Instagram too. If you find that a lot of people of your demographic, I'll say right now, coffee shops, they're really doing
Mhm.
well all over Instagram. If you have a coffee product, you're probably gonna wanna go over there because that's where all that content is getting a lot of views right
Mhm.
now. People are really invested in that. So just doing a little bit of research, figuring out exactly where your audience
Mhm.
lives when they're on social media.
And in terms of creative, we mentioned people don't want to feel like they're being sold to. And some people are naturally resistant to sponsored ads because they feel like they're being sold to. So, how important is driving a creative that almost makes people forget that it's an ad and just makes them click?
It's really important. The best way, you're never gonna know the first round. You're going to have to constantly test creatives over and over again. Instead of guessing, you kinda have to let data tell you what's doing well, and the only way to get there is to constantly be posting every single day
Mhm.
or at least 4 to 5 times per week and letting all of that data come back to you and like, "Oh, this video did well." Continue to do
Mhm.
that instead of putting all of your energy into other things.
Right. No, that makes sense. So let's talk about some other marketing strategies or avenues to go down.
Yeah.
Community engagement is one. This is sponsorships and partnerships within your community. It might be hard at times to define it in terms of an ROI, but it's still important
Yeah,
for a product.
it definitely
Absolutely.
is. Depending on your product too, a lot of the products that maybe are luxury or
Mhm.
have a higher price point, sometimes people want to see it in person and they don't want to see it online, and you're giving them too much time to think about if they should invest in your product. So for those products specifically, I tell our clients to find places to show it in person
Mhm.
so that people can see it, feel it, use it can talk to you about it a little bit more instead of just seeing a picture on it because
Mhm.
they're not gonna see the full thing. It also starts relationships with people in your community. Once you get one person, even if they don't purchase your product, they're going to know what your product is and automatically start thinking, oh, this person may like this, or this
Mhm.
might be a good product for someone else that I know. So just starting that, it just builds trust,
Mhm.
also retention, and it's just a great way. I definitely think in such a digital age too, a lot of people are craving that
Mhm.
in-person communication and seeing a physical product and kind of that buyers kind of thinking they're most likely going to buy it on the spot
Yep.
because it's right then
Mhm.
and there and they can take it home instead of waiting for it to come in the
Yeah.
mail.
And that sort of goodwill or word of mouth, it might not generate the same number of sales as, say, a paid media strategy would, but it's still a good way to build a very loyal, stable customer base. And those 100 people within your community who love your product are always going to support you. They're always going to like your posts.
Mhm.
And anytime you come out with a new product, they're probably going to buy that too. So having that
Exactly.
stable of people within your community is so important.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when like you said, putting it all together, doing the community engagement on top of paid advertising, on top of social media, it's all going to work kind of in this perfect life cycle. If you don't get them to purchase in person, they're going to follow you on social media and possibly buy off of the ad. You never
Yeah.
know. So it's definitely just a great way to kind of bring that into your marketing.
And similar in a way to customer engagement, influencer marketing, also similar to paid media in a way, Can you break down exactly what that is? Who should be using it? How do you even go about finding an influencer for your product?
Yeah. Influencers, everyone's an influencer these days. Everyone's a content creator. My number one advice is to look at influencers that you as the business owner personally already follows and likes their content. That's where to start. You already personally know them from following them. You like
Mhm,
their content on a personal level. Look through those influencers and then say, "Actually, this influencer would be good for my product,"
mhm,
and then go from there. Outside of that, finding the perfect influencer for your product specifically is sti pretty simple, I'd say. You're gonna be wanting to find, people who are either selling similar
mhm,
items to your product online or talk about it all the time or have very similar lifestyle that you're looking for in your customers.
mhm,
Reaching out to them is a whole different thing, getting their attention. A lot of times you're going to have to look for like their management's emails, DMing them or direct
mhm.
messaging an influencer isn't the way to go anymore. It's a lot
Okay.
harder. So finding those emails, constantly following up for with them. But once you get past that point, now you have to get into kind of like negotiating how much am I going to pay this person to show my product? And of course, everyone is like, well, I don't want to pay for it, which is the perfect scenario. And you can't
Right.
find those people if you do it
Mhm,
the right way.
mhm,
But a lot of times you want to start with smaller or what they're called nano influencers, people who have less than 50K followers
mhm,
on any social media platform because those influencers are getting the most engagement. People
mhm,
influencers who have like 1 million followers, they have the likes, they have the impressions or the views, but when you're looking through their comments, no one's actually engaging with the content. So you wanna stick with people who have a smaller following, um, and more engagement from their followers, people who are really invested in these people's
mhm.
lives, because that's where that trust comes in, and that's when they can sell your product efficiently.
So let's say I'm between two potential influencers to partner with. One has 25,000 followers, the other has a million.
Mhm.
But the one with a million posts about all sorts of different things. They're very broad. The person with 25,000 followers has a very specific niche, always posts about the same thing. Those 25,000 followers are probably going to be a lot more focused than the one with a million followers.
Yes, absolutely, and their customer or their followers are gonna trust them a lot more because to them, this influencer has kind of created a small community with
Mm,
their followers and kind of like a family to them, so they're able to kind of suggest products that make sense for their
mhm,
followers or kind of able to really tell people about the product in a personal way, which is a lot better than the 1 million
mhm,
follower influencer who this is their 10th product they're making a
mhm,
video for, and they've already sold something maybe like a competitor before,
mm.
and it's actually going to cost a lot more than that 25K follower influencer.
Gotcha. And so outside of influencer marketing, another direct strategy, email and SMS, doing those campaigns. I know everybody gets hundreds of emails per day. How do you break through the noise and actually send somebody an email or a text that's worth reading or even beyond that, clicking on?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Um, I would say email is up and coming right now. A lot of people used to not use email marketing, but it's actually huge. People are starting to check their emails again
Mhm,
because there's a new way of creating them. You want to be as visual as possible
mhm,
in the emails and also kind of as silly as possible as well. And that's the way to do it to get people's
mhm.
attention and to actually click on the email. Once you
Okay.
get them over to a website, that's kind of the whole goal for us. They're finally learning about the product. potentially buying. For text messages, it could go either way. It's definitely hard to start with text messages, especially because there's a lot of people that don't even read text messages anymore. They'll automatically delete them. But the way to do it is to send shorter information than you think. A lot of people
Mhm.
will think that you have to send paragraph text messages about the product. You actually just want to get them to click the link as fast as possible. So
Mhm.
that's where you're going to do a lot of your discounting. That's where you're going to be doing a lot of kind of just like grabbing people's
Mhm.
attention really fast, even if it's not about the product.
If I get a text from a company and I have to scroll to read the whole thing, I'm not reading the whole thing. I wanna
Exactly.
see it all in one little square.
Yeah, and it's been around for so long too that people automatically are going to assume it's scam or
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
spam. So you have to deal with that too. So if you can't get someone's attention in 2 seconds, it's probably going to get deleted.
Target, their emails, the subject line is "Your weekly ad is here,"
Yeah,
which I kinda respect,
yep,
and they know exactly what they're doing. It's an ad, you know it's an ad, they know it's an ad. Let's just not beat around the bush.
exactly. Those are my favorite. I actually opened one this morning, and the title line was in all caps, "Guess what? Dot, dot, dot." And, like, for my demographic, I was like, "Oh, what?" Like, I wanna know. So they perfectly
Yeah.
marketed to me and my peers, or you wanna just grab their
Mhm.
attention any way possible. Get someone to click a to open an email as fast as possible.
Yeah.
You have to get really inventive
Yeah,
nowadays.
absolutely. It's tough. It's
Mhm.
tough. One other thing I wanted to touch on is a lot of times clients really want to time their launch around specific moments, whether it's the holiday season or if it's a children's product, they want to launch around back to school season. How important is that versus just getting it out when it's ready and when the next holiday season comes around, you go all in?
Yeah, that's a great question. Timing absolutely matters for sure when you're launching any kind of product. W Deciding when that's going to happen, though, you need to make sure that matches your audience and your product. If you have a specific product that revolves around a specific holiday or a time of year, then yes, you're gonna wanna be able to sell it right before that comes. A lot of people mistake, launching right in the specific season of when their product, references to. So, for example, if you are selling, like, a winter product, people think, "Oh, I want to sell in the middle of winter," but it's actually you need to start right before then.
Mhm.
So if you're selling a Thanksgiving product, you're actually gonna wanna be able to launch in July, because by July, you're gonna be able to start your social media, start paid advertising too,
Mhm.
because paid advertising takes a couple of months to learn the algorithms and start to understand your audiences before that time even
Mhm.
happens. Um, so you wanna be able to kinda do that. Also, a lot of, like, forcing a holiday angle
Mhm.
for Christmas when your product doesn't specifically fit that holiday, it can actually do a lot more bad than good. Um, Especially if it doesn't fit, it's going to backfire because, like, a lot of our clients want to, sell during Christmas time around like Thanksgiving, Cyber Monday, Black Friday sales was actually kind of the wrong idea to have. It's a good idea overall, especially if you're already established
Mhm.
brand to be selling during those times, but if you're launching during those times, you're already brand new in a market and people don't already know you. A lot of brands are already established and already there, and have been launched for a couple of years are also struggling to be seen during those
It
times.
makes sense because yes, people buy the most during those seasons, but it's also the most competitive. It's the hardest to
Exactly.
stand out. And even for a giant, well-known household name, if you're a small, just starting out company, how are you even supposed to say, "Hey, I'm here too"?
Exactly. You will have to spend like 5 times to 10 times more, of your budget just to maybe be seen by a couple of
Mhm.
people during that time, and it's just, 1, a waste of your money that you could be using elsewhere, also your time, because the holidays, even though, we all know when they come every single year, we're never
Mhm.
ready. No one's ever ready. Ads are always being rushed. Every single company is being rushed. So it's just better to give it time and maybe think about secondary holidays if you really want to do that. Or just letting the launch come when it comes.
And so to tie this all together, the whole conversation, where does 52 Launch and our marketing agency, Agency 53, come in amid all this?
Um, Agency 53 comes in about 2 months before we know your product is going to arrive, um, at any of your distribution centers. We sit down with you, we talk about all the work that we've done for your product, and exactly we're gonna do an audit of exactly where we see your product going and how we think you can be as successful as possible. Once we align with you on that, then that's when we start kind of timing out all of the launch deliverables.
Gotcha. All right. Well, awesome. Jalen, thank you so much.
Of course.
Thank you to all of you for tuning in. No matter where you are in your marketing journey, whether you already have your product out there or the idea is still sitting in your head, 52 Launch is here to help you. Go to 52launch.com to learn more. And let's get started making your business dreams a reality. See you next time for our another 52 Launch Entrepreneur Insights webinar.